Thursday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers, led by Jimmy Garoppolo, travel to Tennessee to take on Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. Right now, the 49ers sitting as 3.5-point favorites, over under 44 points. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. I got my favorite player prop, spread pick, and same game parlay coming your guys' way. But first, we got to do a recap from last week like we always do, always being transparent, because last week it was a good one. We were 10-4, 7-2 on player props alone. We cashed our money line parlay, and we bounced back a little bit in the spreads category, which still kind of holds us back a little bit, but player props is my specialty, and I'm glad to see that category doing really well on the season. If you are new to the channel, consider clicking that subscribe button down below. We're closing in on 17,000 subscribers, so we would really appreciate it if you click that subscribe button. If you are celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas to you, Happy Holidays, and like I said, let's get that 17,000 subscriber mark, maybe before kickoff. We would appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's get this thing started. Now, my same game parlay I referenced at the end of the video when we'll be on FanDuel. That's where I'm making it. And if you want to use our sign up link, it is the first link in the description down below. But we also have sign up links to BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, all the major sports books, all which exclusive sign up bonuses. Click the first link in the description. Now let's go to the player prop. Did very well, doing very well in the season. Who are we riding with? Jauan Jennings, over 18.5 receiving yards, minus 115 on BetMGM. Now, I know a lot of you just said, nope, I'm getting off this video. You clicked off. You're like, I have no idea who this is, and I am not betting on a guy. I have no idea who, and this video just isn't for me. And I understand that. But for the people that stayed, let's talk about Jauan Jennings. And I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he is a 7th-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. He's 6'3", and he was a solid receiver in college. More on that in a second. But Jennings, you look at this 49ers roster, and they're starting running back Elijah Mitchell out for this game. And so they have turned to, obviously, Jeff Wilson Jr., but you also see a lot of Deebo Samuel, their wide receiver one, playing more of a hybrid role, in the backfield, running the ball a lot more than he had been earlier on in the season, which is awesome because that sees Jennings really, he sees his playing time shoot up. Over the past 3 weeks, he's played 50, 66, and 44% of the snaps. And the past 3 weeks, over that same time span, he's at 8, 46, and 28 receiving yards, cashing this in two of the last 3 games, but also 3 of the last 4 because he cashed it in the game, even with Elijah Mitchell in there. But here are my 2 biggest notes, and let's talk about them. Number 1, the Titans' defense is good at stopping 2 things. Number 1, they're good at stopping the run, which is arguably what you look at the 49ers offense. All they want to do is really run the ball. The Titans give up the 2nd fewest rushing yards per game. That number is even lower at home when they're in Tennessee in front of their home crowd. Now, number 2 for this Tennessee Titans defense, they're very good at stopping opposing tight ends. Now, we obviously know, if you've watched the 49ers, you're a 49ers fan, you know what they like to do. They either like to run the ball or they like to throw it to George Kittle. Those are the 2 things they love doing, maybe a little bit of Deebo Samuel too. But the Titans have allowed the 4th fewest receiving yards to opposing tight ends all season long. But where they've really struggled is against wide receivers. And the Titans have allowed the 2nd most receiving yards to opposing wide receivers. Obviously, Jauan Jennings is a wide receiver. I believe the number 3 on this 49ers roster. And they're really only trailing the Minnesota Vikings by 15 receiving yards. And that's over 2,600 receiving yards to wide receivers in 14 games. Jennings should see the field a bunch and play 40 to 50% of the snaps, maybe even more, depending on how the game script goes. I think he has a good game, but let's be honest. Number 2, the biggest note for why we're here for Jauan Jennings. I talked earlier about he was a pretty good wide receiver in college, a 7th-round pick. Where did he go to college? Yeah, you'd bet it. He went to Tennessee, and so he grew up in Tennessee. This is a homecoming for him. He'll probably have a lot of friends and family in the crowd. This is his first professional game in Tennessee. I'm just going to ride with the narrative. Jennings is due a great game. If Shanahan wants to be a friend of the people, we'll ride with Jennings, and I think he starts off Week 16 with a bang in the player prop department. Now let's move to my spread pick of the day. Taking the Titans, I'm taking them plus 3.5, minus 110. Now, I know, I just hyped up Jennings in his return to Tennessee, and I understand the 49ers might be a better team here, but I like the Titans defense, and they think they really match up well against this 49ers offense. You think about exactly what the 49ers want to do. They want to run the ball and throw to George Kittle, like I just talked about. Well, that's exactly what the Titans are very good at, is stopping the run and stopping the tight end passes. So they're going to make someone else beat them, and if it's Jauan Jennings, heck, I'll allow it. But last week, I was against the Titans. I picked against them, and they helped us cash our money line parlay with the Steelers beating them in Heinz Field. And truthfully, last week, I don't think Ryan Tannehill could have played a worse game. The Titans' offense was absolutely terrible because the Steelers didn't want to win that game. They were like, please, their offense looked terrible. Granted, it was against a very good Titans defense, but that Steelers offense was terrible, and I could see them doing a similar thing to this 49ers offense. And the defense really held it down. They really were the only reason they were in that game because Ryan Tannehill and the offense couldn't do anything. And so So you look at the Titans so far this year, they are 5-1 in their last 6 games at home, and as an underdog this season, 5-2 against the spread. So we're not asking for them to win this game outright. We're just asking them to cover within 3.5, lose by a field goal, 3-2-1. We're fine with that. Even tie the game, heck, for all I care. But since 2018, Titans 12-4 straight up against the NFC in interconference play, the third best in the NFL behind only the Chiefs and the Ravens. I just think you look at this Titans team, they really don't tend to lose a lot of games back to back. That's not what they do too often. Though they did do it a couple games ago against the Patriots, but Mike Vrabel and the Bill Belichick, the history they have together. So they really haven't lost a lot of back-to-back games. They also should be getting A.J. Brown. He's probable for this game. He's supposed to be back, which is a big boost for that offense. Obviously, they really haven't had a weapon because Julio Jones goes out there and plays about 3 snaps and then goes down with a hamstring injury, which I love Julio, but man, he's well past his prime. So getting A.J. Brown back would be super awesome for this offense. So I really like what I've seen out of the Titans when they're at home. They have struggled in games on the road, like they struggled all last week. But I like the Titans plus 3.5. Like I said, they haven't lost a lot of games back to back. I think Brian Tannehill he can't possibly play better. Let's be honest, he can't possibly play better. And I know I got a lot of 49ers fans that will come into the comments saying, why are you betting against them? You don't have to tail, but I'm just thinking the Titans keep this game close, maybe even potentially win this one outright. So I'll take them plus 3.5. I think it's a very good bet, and I'll ride with them tonight. Now, same game parlay time, like I said, it's on FanDuel. Now, I want to go with this one, plus 1,177 odds. A.J. Brown and Jawan Jennings, anytime touchdown. Now, I know this is a dart throw and a half if I've ever heard of one, but look, games like these, Thursday Night Football, yeah, they're weird. It's hard to bet, a lot of alt receiving odds. I'm just going to take Brandon Ayuk to get 25 receiving yards. Well, you never know with Brandon Ayuk. He could get benched. And Deebo Samuel, you could pick him to get 50 receiving yards. Well, then he becomes a running back the full time. So it's hard to bet a lot of receiving yards and those types and rushing yards props with these two teams. I would bet Jeff Wilson, but you think about this Titans defense, one of the best stopping the run. So that's why I went for these two guys in the dart throw at the tight end, or the dart throw touchdown props, just for almost $10 to turn into almost 110, 115, whatever the number is. Now, look, A.J. Brown returning from IR supposedly today, and if he doesn't return, then we'll just have a Jawan Jennings prop for just an anytime touchdown, which is fine with me. But you look at this Titans team, they really lack playmakers, and I think they can get and score touchdowns against this 49ers defense. Doesn't necessarily scare me the most. Their two best players on defense, I'd argue, are Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and obviously those guys aren't guarding A.J. Brown. So you think about the Titans, they're going to need people to get it into the end zone. A.J. Brown's one of their guys, and I think he'll be back, and he should not be limited in much of a way. The Titans desperately need this win, especially with the Colts charging back and coming back after them. They really need a big-time win, and they're going to need to play A.J. Brown if they want to win this game. Now, Jawan Jennings, like I said, it's the return to Tennessee. How can you hate the narrative? His first pro football game back in his hometown where he grew up in Tennessee. I don't necessarily know exactly in Tennessee where he grew up. The moral of the story, he's back in Tennessee. I think he's due for a touchdown. And, icing on top, if you don't love the narrative play, he has had a touchdown in 2 of his past 4 games. So Jimmy Garoppolo looks for him in the red zone. He's 6'3", a tall guy. They can throw fade routes to and whatnot. Like I said, I think it might be hard for George Kittle to get into the end zone, just given how good the Tennessee Titans are at defending tight end position. So I'll ride with all of those. Our same game parlay, we got Jawan Jennings, A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown. I'm taking the Titans plus 3.5. I'm taking Jawan Jennings over 18.5 receiving yards. Hopefully Jennings doesn't make me look like a fool. This might be the most airtime he's ever seen on a YouTube video, but if it is, Jawan Jennings, we will love you forever if you can treat us nicely. This has been Austin. I'll see you guys more for some NFL videos, NBA daily videos. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's been Austin. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.